Thank you. We are gathered today for the Procurement Standards Board meeting of August 9th, 2018. And I'd like to acknowledge that we do have a quorum available of the committee. In terms of the first item on the agenda is the chair's remarks. The only thing that I would like to bring to the committee's attention is Mr. Don Harden was before the Metro Council on Tuesday and was reappointed to serve on this board, and I am just absolutely thrilled that he is still here with us as we move forward in this important work. So thank you so much for agreeing to stay with us.
I appreciate the confidence in asking me to return, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, we will go to the second item, which is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. And I'll give the board an opportunity to review those and to see if we have any edits or updates that are needed. Okay. Do I have any updates or edits to the minutes? Okay. Judy, did you hear that? There's a spelling.
Shannon's name. What should it be, Shannon?
E in the first name and out of the last. So I have the E just misplaced.
Okay.
That's going to be my fault, I'm sure, because I think I just did it out on the sign-in with card.
Okay. Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as with those edits?
So moved.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion? None? Okay. All for? Aye. Okay. The minutes are approved. Thank you. The second item on today's agenda is the purchasing agent's report. Ms. Michelle Lang.
Okay, we have in your binders, you have a copy of the purchasing agent's report. It is my husband usually says I don't need a microphone, so I guess I forgot about that. It's a short report for you today. We continue, as the report notes, to work with departments, partnering with them to meet their needs. You can see the outputs for this quarter listed in your binder and will be presented by staff later on in form of our key performance indicators or our performance measurements. We do continue to work with departments, training them on the use of our iProcurement system. I am working to finalize the responses to our audit that was conducted by internal audit. There were a number of observations and recommendations that were in the audit, generally focused around increasing procurement compliance with the procurement code and the procurement regulations, as well as recommendations toward creating procurement as a best-in-class procurement organization. The audit, the observations, as well as the recommendations that have been made, along with management responses to those recommendations, will be available for the board's review at the next board meeting. We are working with our Information Technology Services Group to develop a solicitation and contract tracking resource that will be used by stakeholders. This is a major undertaking for us in the sense that previously departments would issue or enter a requisition to the procurement division for solicitations. They would basically, indicate what it is that they need for us to competitively procure for them, and we did not have a good mechanism in place to allow them to continuously understand the status of those requests, where they are. When they've been assigned, we would, communicate that out, but but then where exactly is it in the process? And once the solicitation's been issued, just having a really comprehensive place, a singular place where departments and other stakeholders can go and kind of see where those projects are in process was not there. So, of course, in the spirit of transparency, which you'll note in the FY 2018 performance goals at the top, is one of those core values for the Finance Department. In the spirit of that, we've been working with our ITS department to develop this solicitation and contract tracking resource. It will provide that detailed information about the procurement activity. It's going to create a number of administrative efficiencies for us because we have different mechanisms now where we track certain pieces of information in Excel in different ways. This resource will actually replace 3 of those. So we'll have in one place, in one location, information about solicitations from requisition to contract or to purchase order. That will be a beneficial, tool, not just for our departmental stakeholders who can go out and take a look and see where things are, but also for our city leadership. If Talia is very interested, if the chair is interested in understanding where specific solicitation is, she can access that information as well, as can our procurement staff, in an effort to provide superior customer service. So,
What's your target completion on that, please?
I would like to have that completed by the end of September, available for use. September 30, we're ready to go for the next month, for October.
So sounds like a good tracking tool. You anticipate like projects starting after September, beginning October to be loaded, but not necessarily the ones that are already in the queue?
Everything in the queue
Anything
as well.
that's active?
Anything that is active will be transferred over. So part of this process for us is that ITS has asked us to provide them with what I call Beastie, because it's just this huge spreadsheet that we keep with all of our active solicitations. But they want all of that information in the form that we would have it being available in this resource tool. Once we provide that, they will then migrate all of that data over into the resource tracking tool. So, we have some solicitations that span multiple months. Terry's working the body cam solicitation. It's, it has a protracted timeline just because of all of the phases that are included with it. So all of that information would not be lost. It would be transferred over into this new resource tracking tool.
Okay, great. I can see other things coming off of that, but we'll wait and see.
It will take the place of our active contracts list because all of that information will be included in that tool. All of our assignments, information that we currently keep in a separate tracking document spreadsheet will be included in there, as well as the assignments that are made to the Business Assistance Office, which are held in yet a separate document. All of that information will be in one place, and so we'll be able to capture that information and represent it, not in the form of reports per se, but there will be a mechanism in there for us to isolate certain pieces of information. If we only want to look at those that have resulted in an ITB, we can pull that data. If we want to look at just the department's solicitations and contracts, we can pull that data.
I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but are they thinking that that's a SharePoint site, a Nashville.gov site, an open data site where data's just posted and people can manipulate it?
It will be.
What tool?
It is Project Portfolio.
Project Portfolio.
It's Project Portfolio, and it will be available via SharePoint, I think they told us. Where's Jamie? Jamie's my kind of go-to on it. It'll be available via SharePoint.
And the only reason I ask that is in terms of how it can be used, because if you're using some tool that somebody doesn't have access to that software, then they may not have access to the data.
It is actually, it's the tool. It will be accessible by all Metro departmental users.
Okay.
It is the tool that ITS uses today to prioritize and manage their own projects.
Okay.
So we've had a demo of the solution. We were actually looking at going in a different direction. We were looking at an access database as a solution for us. The support of that is actually waning by our ITS department, and honestly, the expertise around access, we have some, but we have less than we used to in government. So this is going to be a solution that ITS supports, that ITS has expertise in, and they'll be able to train our staff in how to use it as an administrator.
I just want to make sure people can get to it once you got it out there.
And we will have read-only access to it by users. So stakeholders in the department, even our city leadership, will have read-only access to it. But ITS, along with the administrators that are designated in our shop, will have write access to it.
What about members of this board that maybe are not inside Metro? Could we grant them access? I think this board should have access to the data.
Okay.
If that's possible.
Okay. Okay.
Michelle, so when you undertake this type of project, I know there's, part of the discussion is always, do we need to archive older agreements or older solicitations? I mean, normally you don't necessarily undertake archiving all of them. I'm sure you guys have a ton of that. But did you guys discuss that? And if one needed to be accessed, and I may not be using the correct lingo, but if one needed to be accessed for, I don't know, data purposes, what's our game plan for that? Do we have one?
So, my thinking is that, and what I understand from ITS is that project portfolio will be able to house thousands and thousands of views is what they call them. I had to think of the terminology, views. I think it's important for us to have the data accessible for at least the length of the contract life. So once that is reached, which is what really lends us to understand how we can use it as an active contracts tracking tool as well, then we would archive it in another view, but we would still have access to it. I mean, I just think that there's a lot of information that can be gained by us from looking at what we did the last time we procured something.
But just keep in mind, you'll need that at some point for auditors.
Yes.
They'll want
A starting point for currently active, just kind of go for it. Okay.
Yes. Anything that we are actively working on today would be migrated into this project portfolio solution.
Okay, that was a good discussion. You got anything, John, on that point? No. Okay. Michelle?
Okay. And the other piece of that, I'm sorry I didn't get to the end of it, is that it's really going to help us have a singular place to collect data related to our performance measures that we adopted at the last, or that you all adopted at the last standards board meeting. Management staff is meeting every 2 weeks with representatives of what we call heavy procurement using departments. Those departments are Department of General Services, which has responsibility for all metro facilities, construction and renovation construction to facilities as well. The police department, the water services department, public works, and information technology services. And the purpose really is for us to have open communication about the status of projects as well. To some extent, once our project portfolio solution goes live, it'll negate the need to have the meetings as frequently as we do. But what we have found in the course of having these meetings is that old adage that communication is key. Once we meet with folks and we start having conversations about the status of projects, different, elements of the procurement need that we weren't aware of is often surfaces. So we get good information. We're able to provide them with good information. We're able to help manage expectations of the department so that they know kind of from a priority standpoint or from prioritization where we are with working certain solicitations. And they also give us some sense of what's coming down the pipe. So we know that they've got a major solicitation that's going to take us, 8 months really from start to finish just because of the complexity of it. We can begin to kind of plan for those solicitations from a workload perspective. So those have been good meetings to have.
When folks come in with like a hot project, how does that different? How is that different from something that's just okay, the normal process? How does that get approved?
Well, I would say, and I'm so not being facetious, I'm just being very honest, most everybody thinks that their projects are hot. Most of the departments think, So having a process like this really helps us to work with them and have them be an active part of that decision-making process about how hot it is. So we will talk with them about the level of urgency related to each one, and we'll talk with them too about other urgent projects that we have so that we can prioritize them. I want folks to walk away from those meetings having a sense of what we've got on our plate, the urgency and the high priority of some of those, and where their project fits in there. So it typically, if we have something that's, major, it's an emergency, of course it's going to take precedent.
Right.
But we often look at the end date of the contract, that, the previous contract, do we have, have they given us the requisition 3 weeks before the contract ends, or do we have 6 months? We're looking at all of those kinds of factors to make a decision about how we prioritize.
Okay, good point.
I'd like to also make note that we are undertaking the activities that are necessary to develop Metro's first procurement forecast. That forecast really is designed to help us understand what kinds of projects are coming down holistically for the government, but also to enable us to provide the public with some information that they would need to understand what the city will be buying. From my perspective, if we have an advance notice of what goods and services the city is going to be seeking to procure, then that demonstrates our effort to partner with the business community so that they are then really poised to be able to meet those needs. They have some sense of what Metro is going to be looking to procure coming down the road. It also enables our small and disadvantaged business community to be prepared. They can start working with our business assistance office, making sure their certifications, their approvals, et cetera, are up to date. If they need to look at previous, solicitations and understand what they looked like as an open records effort, they can do that. So it really provides them an opportunity to be prepared. So it helps us to manage workload. It helps us to partner with our business community. It helps our disadvantaged business community as well, so that they're able to respond accordingly.
How are you going to balance your staff resources when you get this forecast? And the reason I'm asking this is because you are going to get items forecasted by departments that are not currently funded, because they will be presented as, I'm going to ask for this next year, and I want to be ready to go should the funding be awarded. How are you going to balance that in terms of how many of those you do versus the real work that has to be done? Because there's no guaranteed resources available for those projects, and you could spend a whole lot of time and effort for something that doesn't happen. So do you have those, are you going to have those kinds of conversations with departments to make sure you're prioritizing your staff time more than anything?
Absolutely. So the forecast will denote, certainly for the public, that these are forecasts that the department is, that the departments are making, and that, of course, they're contingent upon appropriated funding. So that's a first caveat that would be included in the forecast. The other piece of this, though, is that it provides us with kind of a down-the-road view of what we might expect and the time frame around which we might expect it. It allows us to be able to kind of follow up with the departments in a meaningful way. But until we actually receive a requisition from the department, that becomes the trigger for us to start the active procurement process. So we have, our vantage point is one that says we know this major project may be coming from this specific department, et cetera. But until which time we actually get the, and it'll allow me to say, based on the complexity of it, it's something that one of our senior procurement officers should probably be, managing from a procurement perspective.
You're going to have a challenge there, of just saying, in terms of communication, just because there are many departments that have these master plans to do X or to do Y or to do Z. So in their mind, they're moving forward toward planning on implementing those master plan activities, but they don't always move along the timeline that departments want. So just make sure you're talking to I just want you to be cognizant of that.
Okay.
Because you could potentially spend a whole lot of time, 6 months, maybe getting ready for something that's not even, that is, exactly. So you've just got to be really careful with that.
So what I'm-
And really giving people the impression, too, that it's coming.
So we need to include some specificity into that in the forecast. Initially, our thinking is around those contracts that we know are going to be expiring, as well as those that are, like major capital plan items. So it sounds like we probably need to get with the capital.
Because that could really, just even to the suppliers out there, they may be preparing for these things based upon this forecast, and they may be spending their resources to get ready for
Yes.
the release of that,
Have a field denoting whether something is
Funded or not, right.
Just so that it's very clear, because I don't want the suppliers even to have a mixed message about
Right.
what might actually be coming.
And
So
maybe
just think about that.
what we really need to do with that is to provide specificity to the departments as to the kinds of items that should be included in the forecast.
So just think about that.
And the level of development, if it's kind of part of the master plan, but you haven't really worked for it, through the funding process, it may not be appropriate for this fiscal year's forecast. Okay.
Some of this is triggering a thought that I had. In construction, when we're bidding something, we talk about coverage. And if it's a certain concrete, for example, and you're trying to get people interested, and you wonder what kind of coverage do we have for that particular item. Do we have 3 bidders, or do we have, 5 bidders? And, in most cases, obviously, when you're buying something, the more options you have, the better. And I'm wondering, do we ever track any, coverages on certain, maybe
Commodities.
certain commodities and services on certain dollar amounts or above? In other words, are we tracking that to see if we have a challenge finding people to participate, on an average rate? Like, hey, we tried to buy pumps and we only get 2 bidders every time. So do we have a way to kind of track that or start to keep track of that?
If I understand the question, I want to make sure that I understand it. You're asking if we have a good methodology in place for tracking the depth of our vendor pools on a commodity-by-commodity basis.
Correct.
I would say no. I think we have a process whereby we use historical kind of institutional knowledge from we procured it the last time, we didn't get any offers. What can we do to kind of review this solicitation to understand what kind of market factors may have impacted us not getting any offers? Yeah. So we do that kind of thing, but in terms of tracking it such that we know the last time we procured, I'm going to use glass installation, that we had nobody who bid on it. We tried it again.
That would be zero coverage.
Exactly. So to be able to track that in a meaningful way, we don't have anything in place right now. But
they just weren't registered with us, or they were just not available?
Well, with that specific, I think the reasons are varied. With that particular one, what we learned is that the way that we had written the scope and the expectations that were established in the solicitation, it potentially restricted competition. And so we have done some research on, other jurisdictions and how they have procured those same services, and taken some notes about how we can modify the structure of the solicitation itself in terms of what we're asking for, how we're structuring the pricing elements of it, so that we can hopefully get more competition. We have been working on that specific one. I just use that because it's really kind of top of mind. We've worked very closely with General Services, who knows that they need this specific service, also are dealing with the perils related to not getting any offers for it, but have been beneficial in helping us figure out, too, what kinds of things that we can do to modify the solicitation to get more interest in it.
And last question, and maybe it's a legal issue. You got a couple of legal folks.
We have them at the table. I'm going to sit back.
Is it against our policy for maybe an agent to take the time to like, hey, we didn't get any responses for glass or glazing, whatever it is, and to reach out to, like, if one of my interns, I would make them go through the yellow pages, so to speak, and find people and call them and say, hey, you know, we need you to consider this? I mean, is it, number one, is it against the policy to do that? Number two, would it be taxing on resources in your office to do such a thing?
We'll get the legal.
I think you all do reach out already. So
There's nothing legally.
there's nothing that prohibits them from doing that.
If you're informally seeking out availability, you know, whether there are companies out there that can provide that service, that's fine. As long as you're not, you know, trying to get just one or something like that.
It's not, without falling to single source kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what we do today is that, you know, when departments make a solicitation request, we use a form that enables them to provide us with a good bit of information. One element of that form seeks to understand the vendors that they know who provide the service. And we usually get a variety of vendors from them. And what we do is we ensure that they're registered so that they can be invited to the, you know, to respond. Sometimes they're not registered, in which case our
List of phone numbers in the script.
Our iSupplier group will then reach out to them, and without giving them specificity about, you know, just say, hey, you know, we have a solicitation that will be coming soon, get registered. Yeah. But to have kind of a formal tracking system in place, we don't have that.
Not trying to create more work for you guys scenario, but, you know.
I appreciate you.
That just reminds me of every call I've gotten from every university asking me for a donation from some kid in college saying, and they clearly have a phone list.
Don't hang up, don't hang
Yeah.
up. Some important stuff.
Yes.
I don't want us to walk away thinking that, you know, we don't have a way to know how many vendors are registered in each commodity code.
Right.
We do have that, but then being able to respond to a specific solicitation, to me, that's a little different
Right.
topic.
And the thing of it is your hands are tied to a degree because you may have a lot of people in your database, but just like in any other construction purchase, if there are no interest, I can know 5 concrete guys, but if they're all too busy, then I just don't have the coverage. But if I have 2 that bid, I can compare numbers, you know, I have a chance. And so coverage is when you get the responses as well, you know what I'm saying? So it's nobody's fault. It's just like everybody's busy and we have to do a little bit more to get them to, otherwise your end user, your functional department who's making that ask for that, they don't get served, right? So, anyway, thank you for entertaining that thought.
Thank you for the question. I've got a note. And finally, under just operations, I'd note that we held our annual business symposium on the 19th of July. We had roughly 110 registrants, and I believe it was 77 actual attendees. We did partner this year with Bloomberg, who's been providing technical assistance to the city, and the focus really was on capacity building. So we engaged a survey process with Bloomberg to get a better understanding of what kinds of issues serve as barriers with minority businesses when they're working with primes on specific projects, and then another survey where we could hear from those prime contractors so we could get some information that hopefully will be informative to our efforts to develop any kind of supportive services or to look at processes related to the inclusion of those business types in our procurements. Okay, so the next section lists some major procurements. Typically, these have been those that are $10 million or higher, but I listed at least one that's a $7,100 one because it's just really a high-profile solicitation. It's for the mobile data computers for the Metro Police Department, and a couple of major ones for water services, $80 million Cisco equipment services and consulting support for our information technology services, as well as the Bellevue Community Center and ICE facility design build for parks, which was valued at $26 million. All right, moving into staffing. this continues to be kind of an interesting element for us here. During the last quarter, we found ourselves both almost fully staffed and then again short-staffed, all in the same quarter. We started the quarter with a position in both BAO and purchasing that were vacant. During the course of the quarter, Ms. Christian Watkins, who is a new employee that I believe the board met at its last meeting, she's a military wife. Her husband was stationed in Fort Campbell. He was reassigned. They had the option of going to South Korea, to Alaska, or to Tacoma, Washington. And so she left to go to Tacoma, Washington, and we hated to see her leave. She was an excellent employee in the short amount of time that she was here, very productive, so we hated to see her leave, but that created another vacancy in purchasing. So we are actively soliciting, candidate applications for that position. We also lost Mr. Brian Gleason, who took a position at the Airport Authority, managing contract compliance. Yes, DeVita stole Brian from us. Now that left that.
From a lot of Metro people to the Airport Authority.
Yeah. So that left that leadership position in the BAO vacant. We are working to recruit for this position now and hope to have that process completed shortly. I would say that if any members of the board have any ideas about candidates that might be a good fit or qualified, that encourage them to apply for the position.
Well, let's make sure they know when the position is posted.
Okay.
So that if you know candidates, you can send them in our direction.
You guys don't have any flight vouchers to encourage them to stay here or something?
Michelle, I'll let you take that question.
I'll just say, I don't have any flight vouchers, but I did come with my A game. I did, present it what we could, but apparently we can't compete with the Airport Authority, so.
That's what I've heard too.
Right now, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Making a note. Let's see. So, our goal, hopefully by the end of this year, we can have all of these vacancies, filled. It is a drain on the resources that we have here when we do have this short staffing situation, but the volume of procurement activity, fortunately, you'll hear this quarter did lessen some, but it's still a lot of work, a lot of complex solicitation types, and to the extent that we're able to rise to the needs of the departments by having adequate staffing, we're all better served for it. So we'll continue to work with the goal of having, those positions filled by the end of the year. BAO staff continues to work to promote increased DBE utilization and city purchases. The reports for the quarter and for the year are included in your binders, and at the end of this report, you're going to hear from Mr. Val Watson, our Business Development Officer, on that utilization. I do want to note also that you'll hear from Terry Troop on the performance measures for the quarter as well. For the fiscal year 19, the new performance measures that you all adopted at your last meeting will be included in those performance measures. And the disparity study update, we have received a draft for internal review. I do want to be clear to note to folks that the scope of that internal review is to ensure that there is a reflection of organizational understanding and readability of the report. So I just want to, say that for the record. We are reviewing it, but for the purpose of ensuring that it's clear how Metro is organized, the inner workings of various entities and parts of it as represented in our purchasing practices review section of the study, and et cetera. So finance leadership will be working with the mayor's office to discuss how that report is released and made available for public consumption.
Okay, so the draft, so from what I understand, your office reviews the draft and you give feedback back to Griffin and Strong, and then they finalize the report. Okay.
We have had very good conversation with Griffin and Strong about the scope of our feedback to them. And that is in an effort to ensure that, our feedback is strictly geared around ensuring that they understand our organization. There are some places where we review the report, and it's clear that, there's not a full understanding of how this part of maybe the mayor's office works, or how this part of, another department in finance works, or how this structure, as established in the procurement code, really functions. And so we want to make sure that their report is representative of that. But in terms of any kind of modification, to recommendations or data, none of that. I mean, it's strictly focused on readability and organizational, reflection of organizational understanding.
Okay. As you know, we want to follow through on our commitment for the committee that we're going that the last meeting minute says that we've asked Mr. Gleason and Mr. Cooper to
one of us
serve
is
on
still
the
here.
one of you going to let us know if you're going to make any changes in your career life?
I will do that. It will.
You give us notice. Okay. So we need to be prepared to, I'd say, get briefed, properly briefed.
Right.
I need your help in
We're gonna do that.
find another person, but I don't want to let this, I want to make sure I'm doing what I said.
Mr. Gleason's exit will not slow this down. The mayor is intent on finalizing the content of this report and releasing it and coming up with specific action items to respond to it. He is absolutely, he has expressed a sense of urgency in the release of this report and making that happen.
Right. He's asked because a few of us serve on the diversity committee, but I want to make sure that this group, that we're doing what we say we do, and that is, and so whether we wait until it's our small group gets briefed after the final draft, or maybe we can even review the draft with you and say, okay, we want to kind of start thinking about how we, what our committee is going to present or weigh in, if you will.
I think that's a reasonable ask.
Yeah, so I don't want to wait until more months go by.
I do think we need to be prepared to respond to the recommendations immediately.
Right. We don't want to let it fester. I certainly don't.
And the only way we can do that is if everyone sees it. So.
Yes, I mean, I'd like to.
Okay. We'll see how we can.
To get something.
I'm looking at the lawyers right here. We'll see how we can do that.
Put a calendar on something on the calendar within the next 30 days for us to even talk. Okay.
A similar request was made by the Mayor's Minority Business Advisory Council at their last meeting. And that's all I have for you. Are there any questions for me?
Just going to go straight to Michelle. In terms of the agenda, that's not listed separately.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. I think the purchasing performance measurements is next.
Yeah, so if y'all would take a look, the fourth quarter is first. And overall, compared to the third quarter, the RFPs and ITBs are relatively the same. We didn't have as many professional services as we did the last quarter. We did have way more sole sources that were approved than the last quarter. It went from 20 to 53. And then the sole sources over 250,000 went from 2 to 4. That is up, but not by much.
They're obviously very explainable.
Yes.
Ships, huh?
Yeah, they are. What we've discovered, though, is we're discovering that we couldn't, previously, we couldn't, there's a lot of times we couldn't find the forms where they were approved, or they were approved in the system, but not necessarily signed and vetted. And because the process that we have in place, we have some that are vetted and actually denied with details of why it's denied, and it's denied by the purchasing agent.
Good documentation. John, have it.
It's documentation for the approval and denial, either way.
Okay, cool.
And if there's anything's not clear, then it's vetted.
Can I interrupt you?
How many denials did you have? Excuse me.
We have not started tracking the denials. That is for this quarter, the denials start tracking. That was one of the approved things that of KPIs that y'all asked
Not that your
for.
goal is to get as many denials as you can.
Right, but I'm
No.
just saying, if we're approving every one of them.
No, but see, we give them, we tell them why it was denied, and then we give them options. So we don't say you can't have this. We give them the options available to them.
That's good.
The process is such that the request comes in, it comes into a staff person who reviews it, submits it to me, I review it initially. Sometimes I can look at the information and it's very clear, yes, this is a sole source, But often what my request will be is to vet it. And so we're looking at the market. And if we can find somebody else who does this work, it's not a sole source. And we will send the results of that vetting, which is a sole source determination, along with the denied form to the department. And they'll understand that it's denied, but they'll also see the work that went into looking, into the suitability of it or the fit against the procurement code and reg definition for sole source, and they'll understand why it was denied.
Right.
So we don't just say, no, it's not, and that's it. We give them a little bit of background with it.
Yeah, that's a connection. That's a link to that coverage thing you're talking about.
Right. So, and going through the purchase orders, they're down a little bit, and our contracts were down, that we've completed has down a little bit, but
there's still a lot in process. I know there's a lot of sole sources that are still in process that we're still working on contracts, so those haven't finalized out, and those numbers aren't in that contract number. I would draw your attention to one of the biggest numbers that has increased has to do with the training, and that is on the requisitioner training. Last quarter, we only had 8. This quarter, we had 18. One of the changes we made as it means to training is we actually worked with ITS and now have it hands-on. They can log in, they're in the system. It's not just a presentation on a screen. Because what we have found is people would come, they go through the presentation, they go back to their office, and they would forget it. So we were like, we need to be hands-on with what you do every day. So we've set it up so they are hands-on in the training now.
Okay, great.
Is there any questions about the fourth quarter?
Okay.
And then, of course, the breakdowns there.
Okay.
Going into the, for the year, I went back and looked at the last year's. And the RFPs and the ITBs are down some, but I think that's that lull where we were short-staffed and we had a backlog. So we were down. I feel like that if we were fully staffed, it would have been up to the number that it was last year.
To make sure we're with you, Terry. Are we skipping over the next couple pages in our binder?
This is the detailed backup.
The detailed backup that go
And
with
now
that.
we should be on the one that is
Says FY 17, 18.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's in the right place.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the RFPs and ITBs are down compared to last fiscal year. But I think that's that lull where we were short-staffed and we just still had to get projects done, but trying to keep staff moving on what we had. If we were fully staffed up, I think we would be at the number pretty much where we were last year.
So, Terry, even if some of this has to be driven by the need, right? The request.
Absolutely.
So it could be that, you didn't have as many as needed.
Right.
But I would only be concerned with if you're not getting them out in the time that end user needs them.
Right. Right.
So I wouldn't personally take anything by that you didn't have the same numbers unless it was like, hey,
They were a little longer in average
folks
time.
are like really waiting on stuff to get purchased.
Yeah,
That's when it's an issue.
I will say that they were a little longer in the amount of time, and that had to do with the workload that we've had. And we're pushing through that, and the numbers are improving on the average days. That is improving.
If I can interrupt, yes, absolutely. What we've done to ensure that departments, at the end of the day, for me, I want to make sure that we're being communicative and transparent with departments. So what I've done is issued a memo to departments that really helps to frame their expectations. We're short-staffed, and I don't want to use that as an excuse for anything, but I do want departments to understand the impact of that staffing on the procurement activity in our shop. So we've given them time frames for completion of invitations to bid, as well as for requests for proposals, so that they kind of go into it from a planning perspective, understanding how far in advance they need to get started with something.
Right.
So, if it expires, your contract expires, we're notifying you, but the department may not still get a requisition to us to start the process. And if you get it to us, and we've had this quarter, 3 weeks before the contract expired, and they wanted us to walk on some water, and we couldn't really do it. We did quite a bit to get it done for them to ensure that they didn't have that service lapse, but, we've tried to make sure that they understand, have a sense of expectation about making sure that they get the work done in a timely fashion.
Right, and that's all important. And on the buyer side of things, if an issue to bid or RFP is coming out really fast and all the information is not there, in other words, the engineer didn't do what they're supposed to do, then you got buyers giving you crazy numbers or not buying at all just because somebody tried to rush the process. So make sure that, while we're being expedient about time, just make sure they have as much of the stuff scoped out as possible. So, you get good information. Garbage in, garbage out.
I'm going to get Metro 3 to record that little snippet and put you on our Nashville.gov site. What you just said. Yes. It'll become part of the training materials.
So it is interesting because when we were talking about sole sources, last year it was reported that we only had 13 approved sole sources, less than 250,000. We have 143 that were approved this year in this fiscal year. There was only one that was noted as being over 250,000 from last year. We have 8 this year. And then there was no tracking of the sole brands at all. And we've had 39 so far this past fiscal year. And last fiscal year, there were 6 emergencies, and there were 47 that were signed off on this year.
I want to be clear. Some of what I've found as I've been digging around into our system is sole source situations that were approved by virtue of the purchase order being approved. And I'm a little type A, just a little. To me, my interpretation, and I am not an attorney, but my interpretation is that there are 2 actions that are required of me. One is to approve the request of that procurement method being sole sourced. And then the other is to approve the procurement transaction, which is the purchase order. And so I'm not satisfied with simply approving the purchase order and saying that that counts for everything. So I've been approving the sole sources as appropriate. We've been tracking those, and then the department is then required to attach that approved sole source as their procurement documentation for the purchase order. And so, I want people to be clear about when you see the differences in the numbers. I don't think the numbers are inappropriate. I think that we have been very judicious in the review of sole source requests, comparing those to the code. There have been a couple of emergencies that have come, and it was like, I didn't get started in time. It's not an emergency, And so we've said no to those,
Different label on this, if you have a different perspective on what she just said.
On the sole sources and signing?
Yeah, and her specific response, her belief of what her responsibility is.
Michelle and I talk on a almost daily basis.
That's my
and
lawyer.
I think she's correct in that I think her authorizing the sole source is very important. And I don't think that was done in the past.
Not consistently.
Okay.
And keep in mind that all contracts over $250,000 have to have council approval.
Yes.
Sole source
Right.
contract.
Sole source contracts over $250,000. So
Yeah.
there's that added layer of check and balance. In fact, just this Tuesday, we had the time management, time attendance,
We had 2 of them.
two sole source contracts. And they were vetted in committee, and lots of discussion about why this is a sole source. So, yeah, that's an added.
And we have to trust you and your staff on that, right? So when anybody, you're buying anything, people like to compare, and sometimes sole sources tend to charge you more because they can. So
Absolutely.
we just want to make sure that we have some kind of comparison, some kind of, whether you get something online from Arkansas or some vendor in Alaska somewhere, some point of reference that's noted, that's maybe backup. Just they're not available here, but this same thing does actually cost around this much. And then if and make sure we're challenging those numbers. That's all I folks.
Well, I would say also that the procurement regulations require us to engage in negotiation for sole source. So we don't simply accept the sole source pricing.
Okay.
The regulations require us then to engage in negotiation. Now, it does not specify the negotiation elements. So we could be negotiating everything from price to delivery to, quantity, quality, whatever. But we have to engage in that negotiation and without letting the cat fully out of the bag, be able to demonstrate that if you need to for an audit. So that you've done that, that you've engaged in that negotiation. So
That's appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, when you say the numbers, I would just say you need to be prepared for the question of you have, I'm just looking at the 143 versus the 97. About just between those two, you had 143 sole source, but you only competitively bid 97. You need to be able, you need to be.
Different categories.
I know, but they're different categories. I'm just saying for those differences in these numbers, when you start rolling them together, this is really just following up on your remark. Make sure that you have that properly documented and that you're able to explain that, because we don't want anyone, by looking at this data, to assume that we are not taking the necessary steps to make sure that the city's interests are represented.
one last element that I'd add to this, or one last piece that I'd add to this, is that we get requests or sole source requests from departments, even when the value of them is within their delegated purchasing authority. So it's within their delegated purchasing authority, but it is a sole source, and in their minds, this is the only place I can get it. I'm only paying $7,500 for it, but this is the only place that I can get it. Now, departments have become more diligent about sending even those sole sources. So to your point, I think it may be worthwhile for us to designate, to give you some clarity around the extent of those sole sources, the values, et cetera, that kind of thing, because then we're able to see those that really do compare to the competitive process versus those that are within a delegated purchasing limits of the departments, and they engage their own competitive quote process to get to what they need. So we'd be able to kind of compare apples to apples on it.
Mine was really just to follow up to Mr. Harden. Basically, we need to be able to demonstrate those approvals.
So much for your short meeting. I apologize.
No, your questions are always good
Just
ones.
welcome me back. Cause long meetings.
Okay.
So on the back, I've provided the summary breakdown per quarter, and then I totaled up per department. And the reason I did this is this encompasses RFPs, ITVs, and the contracts, and any purchase orders that resulted from, because that's our staff's time that's spent on it. So I just wanted to show kind of the department-wise, which are the departments that are really the bulk users.
The one that got my attention was NCAC. Was that maybe
There were,
Opportunity Now?
Yes, there
Is that what
Opportunity Now
drove that
and some
one?
amendments. Yes, those were the two
Okay.
things that they had going on.
Because that is probably an increase for them.
A
over the
number
past few
of
years.
a number of the contracts that they had been sending to purchasing for the purpose of routing the contract, they selected the vendor, and they were simply sending it over for us to route it through DocuSign. We worked out with NCAC that we would begin to actively procure those for them.
Have you had any recent conversations with them?
We have a meeting coming up next week.
Okay, make sure John can speak to them about their governance structure. Their contracts are probably going to be dwindling.
Yeah, so, and as a backup to that, the next thing is, the summary, instead of breaking it out per quarter, I went ahead and grouped everything by department and just kind of put everything together so you can see kind of what makes up that number.
Thank you, Chair.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, JaVale, are we moving to you?
It seems that way.
Okay. I'm sure you're going to do a much better job than Mr. Gleason ever did. I hope he's watching.
Microphones are on.
I know. I want to make sure he's watching. He heard me say that.
I'm sure we're going to get a call about it. Similar in fashion, I'm going to present to you the highlights, and there's a detailed example behind the page that's presented before you. First, we will review FY18 fourth quarter. Metro government spent $27.8 million with minority and women-owned businesses as prime contractors, $6.4 million with minority and women-owned subcontractors, totaling in $34.2 million with MWBEs. That represents 15.99% of the total of all procurement transactions. We also spent $36.1 with SBEs as prime contractors, $18.8 million with SBEs as subcontractors, and $54.9 million as a total with all SBEs. That represented 25.65% of the total procurement transaction values. Just to give an overview in its entirety of DBE spend, that equated into 41.64% as prime and subs together. Again, the detailed information, I'm sorry?
That's an impressive number.
Talk about it. I do think that it's important to note, as in comparison of FY17 fourth quarter, total DBE spend was $15.2 million, and total business was $273 million, I'm sorry, overall for fourth quarter of FY17.
So what we saw there was from quarter 4 of 18 to quarter 4 of 17, we saw an increase, tell me if I'm wrong, Jarrell, in spending, and an increase in MWBE participation?
Correct.
Both sides.
Or it was
$273 million.
We saw a decrease in overall spending and an increase in MWBE. That's what it was.
For fourth quarter.
Of last fiscal year. So just to give you a comparison. So there's an.
Is that a percent jump? What's the percent change? Did anybody call
What was
it?
it last year? And I would note that I'm being who I am, I piled through the POs to kind of see where the differences were. And we did have a special jump in utilization of Asian Americans, males, which was specifically related to a recently awarded contract for geotechnical services, which went to an Asian American-owned business. So we've seen some significant purchase order activity on that contract.
To answer your question, Dawn, DBE spend for fourth quarter FY17 was 23.47.
For DBE.
For DBE. And this year it's 41.64.
Okay.
So that's
6.52 for minority woman-owned.
Should be 40%?
Say that again, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Does that mean our target should be 40%?
I personally believe that we can, I personally believe that on, as it relates to small business participation, we can easily achieve 30% because we've got several years of history of showing that we've got a robust small business community and we can meet it.
30% is not a stretch.
For small business, no.
What about,
Okay,
what
that's
about
interesting.
this? Are we tracking the number of businesses that are being impacted? Like how many MBEs, SBEs, is it 15, is it 25 that you're spending money with, or is it 2 who got some big contracts? You know what I'm saying?
You will know at your next Procurement Standards Board meeting going forward. You'll have the answer to that because that's one of our new measures.
Yeah, well, that's important, so we can tout how many people, how many businesses were impacted.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear the numbers go up for sure.
But is it all one business?
Yeah, but are we impacting more than just a few? Good report, though.
And to follow, we have FY18 Again, same methodology. The highlights on the first page, detailed information following immediately behind it. Metro government spent $51.5 million with minority and women-owned businesses as prime contractors, $31 million with minority and women-owned businesses as subcontractors, which totaled in $82.6 million total with minority and women-owned contractors. That represented 9.35% of all procurement transaction values. We also spent $209.4 million with SBE prime contractors, $65.6 with SBEs as subcontractors, totaling in $275 million with SBEs. That represented 31.1% of the total of all procurement transaction values. Metro government achieved DBE utilization at 40.46 at the prime and subcontractor level together. That is for FY18.
That 9.35%, that's blood, sweat, and tears. I just want to say that. May I say also, in the Business Assistance Office, Ms. Tina Burke was promoted to a Procurement Officer 3 position. Tina is here. To be a contract compliance team lead. She stepped in preparation of this data for this report to present to you all, and did quite a bit of digging and work to make sure that the figures that are a result of the compliance activities that they undertake were represented. Normally, Brian would have, presented that data, and Tina stepped in and provided that. So I want to say thank you. Thank you, Tina.
Okay. Anything else on this? If not, Michelle, who's going to switch to the full pay, or is that just for our information?
I believe the board decided to have it as a inclusion in the report, but not have an actual report.
Can I
Report out.
Is there a reason for the first item listed in red that we are aware of? On the second page, Michelle, that department.
The Register of Deeds.
I wasn't going to say it out loud, but
Cameras can't see that.
Honestly, Chair, I'm not clear what has prompted the such an increase in the number of days late on payment.
okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I know how to get that information. Okay. Okay, with that, we have finished our agenda for today. Is there any other information you'd like to present, Michelle, or to before the committee? Any other business? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
I didn't establish.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.